All right, Awestruck Comics Podcast. News of the week. News of the week. Well, welcome to the Awestruck Comics Podcast, where we go through news, reviews, interviews, deep dives, unpublished work, early appearances, comic hunting, rabbit holes, pocket rabbit holes. You can find us on YouTube, Spotify, coming to Apple Podcasts. My Instagram is idiosyncratic pulp. You don't really have an active Instagram, right, Rob? You don't really have like
No,
an
it's just
active.
it's just me.
Just you and
Just
fam.
no. I have a Twitter, a little bit active. That's just Rob Messick 76, and we have, of course, I have a Facebook for me and for Allstruck Comics. Just my name.
Yeah, so we're going to have Instagram trying to expand a little bit further, but I mean, a big part last week, shout out to Zach Clark to help me do like the drag and drop type of format we want to do now. Comics are a visual medium, so I feel that having the things we're talking about around versus us going, see that, oh, look at this picture, or do you remember that? Like, I feel like if it's there, that's a little bit cooler. So hopefully everyone
No,
enjoys that.
it's smart for YouTube.
Mhm.
If people want to sit here and watch this on YouTube, this is great. You can see everything. If you still just want to listen to the audio part of our little commentary, you can do that. What do you say on Spotify and soon Apple Podcasts? Because some people just want to listen,
Right,
and I get
right.
that.
Yeah,
So whatever you want, yeah, I think it'll be enjoyable either way.
whatever you want, whatever you want. So, but schedules are a little bit different just because this time of year we both have day jobs. Mine's slowing down a bit into it, and Rob's just going to be full hilt until Christmas. I'm
Yeah,
surprised you're awake now. So,
it is. It's interesting times. They say, "May you live at interesting times," and we always seem to be. And UPS, the Christmas time is now,
yeah,
just
well,
now.
it's not only that. I mean, there is alternatives, but Amazon has their own trucks, but they just dump on stuff on you guys all the time. You told me about that. That's a little
Yeah,
crazy.
they get a little too heavy. They just give it to us.
Mm,
Same with the post office. FedEx will stop taking stuff at some point. So
that's crazy. So, but you're saving Christmas, professionally saving Christmas. So it should be Tuesdays, Thursdays, Sundays. We're kind of again trying to get into more of a groove of recording, and I think some of the recording stuff we got down a little bit further. We'll jump right into the news. We'll do the two main bits of news, and then we can do the long James Gunn discussion. James Gunn
yes,
on a podcast. So, I mean, really slow news week. The only thing that I really thought was interesting is I think the only person that used Substack correctly and basically now is converting it again is Jeff Lemire. So I didn't join his Substack. I think I have his free Substack where he put some art.
mm,
But I want to say fish flies, a lot of fish flies process was on there. And his trades are pretty great, but he has a book coming out next year, but it doesn't really say what it is, if it's going to be one big book, um, or if it's going to be a couple books, or I'm not really sure. But basically, it's called 10,000 Ink Stains, a memoir, which is great. We like when we talk about Lemire, we talk about Lemire, pure Lemire,
right.
or versus writer Lemire, mainstream Lemire. I guess there's a bunch of different
Yeah,
Lemires.
there's a way to put it, and it's not condescending either way, but there's a
Yeah,
big difference.
yeah. I mean, geez, even into watching Creature Commandos, which we'll get to later. So much of that stuff is the fish woman is his, I believe. I'm pretty sure that's his. That's when he was on the Frankenstein Agent of Shade book. That
Right.
was the kind of his stuff. I guess I have to go back and figure out like if that was more of an editor thing. All those series are pretty good. I have to go grab my Frankenstein. My Frankenstein's downstairs. I have the McFarlane Frankenstein that's like 10 inches tall. But the book that he has here, it says a memoir, which that says a book by book, step by step journey of sketches on previously unpublished materials, essay archives, and more. Did mention that is going to actually have some of his early like mini comics, like probably reprinted inside of the book itself, which is kind of cool.
That is
So,
cool.
so I'm interested in seeing it. Like on how it's probably going to focus more on all of his creator own works. Sweet Tooth, Black Hammer, Minor Arcana, Essex County is my favorite. I think I still can't believe, and I still don't know. That's a shot television show. I want to say it's 8 episodes, 10 episodes. It
Oh,
was on
right.
Canadian
Yeah.
television. I can't find it on the high seas anywhere. Just confusing. Oh,
You were so excited to get a
shoot.
VPN, I thought, just for that reason.
Yeah. Well, I won't do it right now, but yeah, I didn't think about that. But technically, I have that VPN, so I can check all Canadian stuff. Maybe it's streaming
Yeah.
in Canada somewhere, or if it's streaming on. I think when I tried to look at it before, it was streaming on the like ABC of whatever was up there, like CBC or something, and I couldn't play it because in the player it says you're not in Canada. So I can go to Canada a little bit later, and I'll have a, so that's fun. So cool. This again is what the conversations typically do with me and Robert on the phone when I'm driving around. He's driving around.
You know,
Um,
what's cool about having a book where you can put some of your older stuff in it, especially if he puts any of his like mini comics or ash cans or I find that really interesting because there's so many of our creators that we enjoy that have put out stuff where you're like, oh, you did that? Oh, you did that? Like you and I constantly talk about Death Zone, the Michel Fiffe
mhm.
Suicide Squad
Right,
comic. Like I can't get it, you know?
right. Which
And if it becomes
which
available,
evolved into
it's
Cobra, basically.
correct,
Mhm.
But he did a bunch of stories even before that. I think he had a short story in Negative Burn and another anthology called Brawl,
Negative
not to mention
German.
anything else he was doing at the time. And I always said, and if I get a chance to talk to him, I might even just message him because he's a fellow Sam Keith fan. And when
Mhm.
Sam Keith started to get popular, I guess is a Fantagraphics put together a two-issue comic called I Before E,
Five before you, yeah. Yep.
and it
Mhm.
was just all his black and white mini stories, short stories. They were some stories were in color, which they then just made black and white in that book. So I'm like, yeah, give me a Michel Fiffe version of I Before E,
No,
independent before
that's
Cobra,
yeah, and
something.
I think that's what I didn't look at the Cobra Deluxe Edition thing that he did. I think it's like 1 to 10. See, I'd be curious. I got all the round. I got them really inexpensive at a con, like
The
$5 a
trades,
pop.
yeah.
Yeah, so I grabbed the first five or six at $5 a pop. So that was pretty amazing. But
We
I
should
want to say he has more process stuff in a making of or the most recent Cobra volume, I believe, or it's its own thing.
he has a Patreon that I think part of it's free, but the part you pay for goes really in depth about process, writing, drawing, art. Like it's like he's all over the place, and he gives you free stuff. He gives free opinions. He showed a picture yesterday on I think it was Twitter or Facebook of a Black Terror, and at one point he had thought about doing a Golden Age, a public domain Golden Age comic before Cobra happened, and it was a really cool looking drawing of Black Terror. Black Terror is the Superman light. Uh, was he Netter Comics, NEDOR in the 40s?
Mm.
Black costume, white skull, very Punisher looking, but obviously predating Punisher by 30 years. Um, he was strong like Superman. He was bulletproof, but he was always getting knocked out. If someone hit him, like he took a gun barrel, hit him back in the head, it would knock him out. So I guess
Not
that's
bulletproof,
comics, not
kind of
quite
bulletproof.
bulletproof. You know what? Maybe that was just his Achilles heel. So he got a weak neck.
Protect your
We,
neck.
I got a. Was that I got a week back. When did that happen? Oh, about a week back.
Oh, that's a very
That's very
Abrams
Marx
Zuckerm.
Brothers.
Yeah, or it's for
It's a
Abrams
Groucho.
Zuckerm's Abrams. It's a police squad.
Yeah.
So that's funny.
So spiraling back, we should have a phrase for this when we go from one topic and just go and
You
go and
spiral
go and
back.
go, spiral back.
Yeah.
So Jeff
Uh,
Lemire, who we'll talk about Tuesday on Reviews Day for his JSA issue,
yeah,
which
yeah,
is
yeah,
his
yeah.
work for hire stuff.
Right. Which is different. Which is I thought it was going to be more like Black Hammer, but it is so far not. Which is great. You know what I mean? I don't want the same thing. I don't want him doing. Now
No,
I have these
because
toys, and I'll play
he's
with these
also
toys.
he's also giving us more
Different.
Black Hammer.
Right.
So let's keep Black Hammer, and this JSA will keep it JSA.
Hashtag keep Black Hammer, Black Hammer.
Yes.
Yeah, Marvel had one press release this week, and it was just a new thing. It didn't really say, again, same thing. These press releases are rough, man. Both of them. The Dark Horse press release for Jeff Lemire, can't really tell. Later on in one of the other paragraphs, it seemed like it was going to be more than one volume. Doesn't say, can't tell. Same thing here. It's a Thing series. Okay, so they're also putting out right around this time. They're putting out a Marvel 2-in-1 omnibus, which is really fun. But
That'll be really fun.
it's not complete though, because again, a lot of the 2-in-1s have like Master
Uh-oh.
Kung Fu in it, and so I'm going to be all Conan. Like they're going to have a bunch of stuff in it that's not there. It's like 1 to 20, 22 to 24.
Hey,
So it's a lot of goofy stuff like
what's
that.
better to cut out that whole issue or just have one of your colorists like recolor him? He's not master of kung fu. He's just create something else. Just create an Alan Moore analog archetype character.
Yeah, what's the deal? We have to go into that one Action Comics that I have, the Zavam one or something, which was like in other. There's like there's a different cover that's like Shazam on the cover that like it looks like the same guy drew it, but I don't know what that was.
Yeah, we got to look into that a little bit because somebody said it's fake, and I'm like, no, it's not. But I don't know.
I don't know. It doesn't. I don't know. But I've never seen a printed copy of it. I've seen the copy of the Zavam, but there is looking like someone just. It looks the same, and the cover treatment. I guess it's photoshopped or whatever. But yeah, it's pretty crazy. But I didn't even realize too, as I was looking at something, and there was an issue of. Shoot, I'm trying to remember what it was. There's an issue of Hulk that there's like Crowbar the Barbarian, and it's just Conan. Like it's not even trying. Like it's not trying to not be Conan. Um, so that's pretty. Yeah, that's a early. That's a Sal early Bush, early two
Now,
hundreds.
why? Why would you do that when you already own Conan? Is it just so you can have a character in the Marvel universe? Like, hey, here guys, we
I
could all
don't
use
know.
this Conan style character in all our books.
Yeah, I don't know because I feel like that they by that point they may have had one or two. I mean, there's four Conan. I think volume one issues. There's like three or four, and there's one of volume two with with Wolverine. Gary Kwapit's art. Good art. Um, So I don't know. Yeah, not sure. But the reason why this is relevant to us for this Thing series that we want to read is Tony Fleecs. So Tony Fleecs, we really like the Uncanny Valley.
Yeah, we
Um,
really like Uncanny Valley, and I really love. We both like Local Man a lot.
yeah, so I
So
feel like him getting more work. And again, they even said Local Man, they were kind of at the end, they're like, no, we ain't making it. There's nothing. We're not making any money off of this thing. Like, and it's kind of like, it's a bummer. We
it's
get it. You know, got to pay the bills. I'm sure his issue of a written issue of the thing is going to
yes,
probably do okay. He's going to make some good work for higher money.
and hopefully this will by the time this we may get an FF trailer at some point soon before this book comes out, so it might increase. I don't know if it'll increase orders. I don't think we'll have it in time for that. But we haven't heard about that. Whether or not we're getting an FF teaser soon.
Yeah, I was hoping to get something before Christmas because we might get a super. You think we're getting Superman trailer before Christmas?
It's a strong maybe.
Yeah,
So
but I
I'd
don't
like
even know
to.
what. Yeah, I don't know what movies are coming out. They might throw it on, or if they just can just put it out. I feel like it'd be more relevant if they just put it out. Um, I think the other thing too. So, and then the other thing that's interesting for this is, and this has Leonard Kirk art. Leonard Kirk, he's been around forever.
Yeah,
He did Supergirl for a long time.
he's a solid
It's a
artist.
good staple. He did the FF James Robinson run,
Yes,
which was like already canceled, like when it started, kind of, right? Is that
but
one? I feel like
but it was
all of them are
also
like that.
good.
It was really good. Yeah, I feel like
Right.
the that series, and then there was another one that like
Was that post Fraction?
it might have been pre-Fraction. I want to say that happened before the Fraction Alred, like offset. Or no, I
And
guess it
Bagley,
wouldn't have.
right?
No, because that was no, I guess it was after. No, it was Hickman and to that. I forget I don't know what came in after that. Or maybe when it was done, it was done. Remember, it was Marvel 2-in-1 for a while until they figured it out.
All
You
right,
know.
but Jimmy Chung drew the first couple of that.
Yeah, and
So
that
good
was a
looking,
chip.
dude.
That was a good chip. Good chip, Starsky. Good job. Not now. So yeah, so I'm happy about that. And I guess all the other news pretty much for this week essentially is the James Gunn stuff, which was he was on Happy Sad Confused with Josh Horowitz, a fairly good podcast. I feel like his questions are always the same, and he has
Yeah.
questions that he just wants it's a clickbait type of situation. He's literally like asking questions for clickbait. He's like, I know you can't do this, but if you can say this,
Right.
and then you're waiting. He's like, I can't say anything. So it was a very he even made fun of it at the end. He's like, well, we've learned nothing. And I'm like, well, you could have asked other questions. You didn't ask about Creature Commandos. You didn't ask about like why'd you pick these characters. You didn't ask zero. So it
It
was barely a
he
podcast.
it
Kind
looked
of
like he didn't
nuts.
really prepare for the interview.
Well, we can't really bag on him for not preparing. So I'm not going to do that. I'm just saying,
But I'll tell you what, if we interviewed
but that's
anyone,
his job.
I think we would
Okay.
prepare.
So we will.
If
Yeah.
we had our friend Ian Harker on the show, who does or at one point had his own small publishing company, we
Mhm.
would prepare for Ian. I would go reread his comics
Sure. Yeah.
to at the very least make fun of him for stuff.
Yeah, if we have a creator on it, we're going to go into like I want to get into something. when we go into deep dive later. I'm like, how did this come about?
Yeah,
Like, and like, how did that happen,
yeah.
or what was the chronology?
We got a
Um,
buddy, Doug Slack, who did Slacker comics for Slave Press back in the 90s. But before he did that, he did a Power Rangers parody that he just drew. How'd that happen? Who's do you remember that? The sour, awful
no,
Power Rangers?
no, I don't know
It's
that. I
it's like
don't
a
have that.
bad, parody press. It's not parody press, I don't think. But
Did slave
yeah,
labor had it? Did
no,
they do it?
I don't think it was slave labor.
Hmm.
But yeah, but these are the things we would ask, and that's our friend. So if
Right,
you
right,
actually
right.
got someone famous on the show, which is a possibility, a strong possibility,
Mhm.
I would prepare a lot, both hard questions and you got a softball too. Oh, what's your new project? We'll always do that because
You
we
do the plug up front. Yeah, I mean, I feel
we
that's
we
what.
want that. We want
Yeah,
people to buy the new stuff. You know,
right.
because
Whatever's going to revenue you the most right now. Like what attention do you want, and what do we want from that? So I feel that it failed at that, but there was a couple tidbits where I guess when he got the gig, he called or texted Ryan Reynolds about Green Lantern. Was
right?
like, "Hey, you want to come back?" But like we both of us talked about this, we can't tell if that was just funny or was he
It's
serious or
it's a very weird move. James Gunn is very, we'll keep this actor as that character. We'll keep this actor, but maybe you'll play someone different. We'll get rid of this actor. I'm like, what are you doing? We don't know what he's doing.
he was on a different podcast and he talked about Peacemaker season one is not continuity because he said
Right.
the Justice League's not continuity because you have one scene. All right, you know what I mean? Or you like I don't know. I
Yeah,
don't
there's
know.
there's no Justice League as of yet in the James Gunn universe. You have to build towards it.
Right.
And I came up with something. There's one great reason to build a Justice League, and everyone's got to be like, "Oh, Dark Side. It's always Dark Side." Yes, Dark Side's important, but I think it would be cooler to build a league to fight the evil Justice League, to fight the crime syndicate. And you know what you do? You get Ryan Reynolds back to play Power Ring. You get
Mm.
Henry Cavill back to play Ultraman. You get Gal Gadot to play Superwoman. You get Ben Affleck back to play Owlman, and you get, well, I guess Grant Gustin to play Johnny Quick.
Yeah,
Let,
because
let,
it's
let's avoid the
problematic.
issue.
The Ezra Miller. Ezra Miller's problematic. No, that's a great idea. You're giving that away. Way to go. You're gonna they're gonna take that. I
Okay,
mean,
you
I
know
mean,
what? Take
it
it.
would be
Take it.
in their good. It would be in their best interest to take that. You know what I mean? I saw a video yesterday, and I don't know if this was even true, but apparently Wolfgang Peterson, when they were talking about doing the Superman Batman, that everyone was going to be in that. That
What do you
like,
mean? What do you mean? Oh, what, like a Justice League
yeah.
or all? Did he get the casting? Is that when they were like, oh, maybe Jude Law could be Superman, or maybe
Well, no, what it was supposed to be, it was supposed to be like a Batman on trial. This is Batman 4. One of the scripts for Batman on trial that Mark Proskovich wrote, I want to say. One of that was a Batman was it was and he went into Arkham and it was everyone. And then someone running like a mock trial. So, but you had everyone back. You had Tommy Lee Jones back. You had uh, but it was a Scarecrow was running Arkham, something like that. There was a couple different plot points in it. Scarecrow was running Arkham. He wanted to have Batman on trial. Batman went in, so they were taking elements of Arkham Asylum, but at the end, Joker is there. So somehow, I guess he survived or whatever. But it was going to basically have everyone in: Catwoman, Michelle Pfeiffer, Danny DeVito, and they were saying at the time like it's going to be the most expensive movie of all time.
and it would
And
have made the most money of all time. And
right,
that was
but
just a straight up. This was well,
it would
and
have
this
been
was
just
just what?
a sequel. And Clooney was supposed to be in it, but Batman and Robin happened and it blew up. Like it was plotted before that they knew that this was going to ramp up, but
Is
everyone
this
that was already in.
is this the script idea for Batman Triumphant?
Yeah, but it wasn't called
Okay,
Batman Triumph. It was called Batman Unchained or something. There was a different name for it. Triumphant is what the internet named it. That was never a script
that
name,
was never the.
apparently.
I, that name predates the internet, not predates the internet, but that's a name that we had heard in '97, right? Batman and Robin's
Yeah, sure.
'97.
Hmm.
We heard that name back then because remember we had Madonna and Jenny McCarthy being tossed around for Harley Quinn, and she was a newer character at
Oh
that
yeah,
point. But
Harley Quinn
they
was supposed to be in it. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, that's right. Harley Quinn was supposed to be in it as well. Before the Joker reveal. Joker reveal was going to be later, and then Scarecrow at the time was Howard Stern was a strong, and he's talked about it before, where that
Howard
he
Stern
was
was
in
strong,
meetings.
and Chevy Chase was trying to get it too,
That
but
was
that doesn't
post
mean
Chevy
post his
Chase.
talk show.
Ah, that's funny.
So where does it become Batman Superman?
I don't know but it kind of floated to well, Wolfgang Peterson was it was supposed to be Schumacher again in this other one. Supposed to have everything. Schumacher was supposed to do that, and then it went to Wolfgang Peterson to Superman Batman, and then they
Oh no,
couldn't
wait a minute.
get.
So probably, you know what? That probably didn't happen until after the Kevin Smith, Tim Burton Superman. That
That's
movie,
probably right. Yeah,
once that fell apart, then it became Superman, Batman, Wolfgang
but that was
Peterson.
Josh Hartnett, and I'm trying to think who Batman was. Oh, what? There was something else I saw that Aronofsky and Frank Miller wanted Joaquin Phoenix as Batman for their Batman Year One that never happened. That was one of their picks. The studio was like, no way. Just funny because he became Joker.
Yeah,
But
that's funny.
Bale was rumored
Or
back then
or
too.
maybe he wasn't Joker. Wink. They
It's
never called him
Batman's.
Joker. So dumb.
Ugh.
So, and
It gave me
then
literal heartburn just now. See that? I literally like clutched my chest.
you got the agita.
Oh, that's right. That's correct.
So the Wolfgang Peterson Batman Superman doesn't happen, and then they start working on the Superman flyby movie, right?
Mm.
Or the McGee movie. Is that was
McG.
McGee's movie first?
McG
And
was
then
the J.J. Abrams script, right? Or was that the was it Fly by J.J. Abrams script, or was that Jonah?
I think that was
There
I
was
feel
a
like
Joss
McGee.
Whedon one in the mix too, but they threw that script out.
There was a
So
Josh Whedon Wonder Woman too. They threw away. Dude, there's a book. There's got to be a book of all the different DC movies that almost happened.
yeah, because there's an Akiva. The only thing that's out there, there is an Akiva Golden rewrite of Batman Triumph or whatever it was called. Maybe it is called that, but there is a script, but Mark Prostagovich or whatever, or what it might have been the one like he did a write of that, and then it got rewritten by Akiva Goldsman, and you don't know who took what, but it was more mainstream, because it
My
was
joke would have
too
been, oh well, if it's the good parts of the script, that's not Akiva Goldsman,
right.
which is shitty because he's actually written good movies. He just gets a bad rap, I think. For
I give him a bad rap because I read the book A Beautiful Mind, and I don't read books. I might have been for college or some crap. I had to read a book. I don't want to read
was
book
the movie
reports.
not as good as the bookmark?
The movie is fiction. The
Yeah, I know,
movie
I know.
he never
He was
had a Paul Bettany like imaginary character. They made him like schizophrenic, and he had like a visual representation of his other like neuroses. And I'm like, that's not a thing. That's not a thing. It's just complete fiction. But that guy won Best Adapted Screenplay, and I was like, did you read the same book I read? How did you win Best? But so Kiva Goldsman does have an Oscar. Cool, awesome, but that is not Best Adapted. I don't know what that is. I don't know what that is. Best Adapted. Get out of here. Anyway, so James Gunn.
Harley back.
Whoop, um,
So yeah,
I he has to listen.
if let's tag James
I'm
Gunn so we can be
exhausted.
like,
Yeah,
you know what? What if Henry Cavill? I don't want to say it out loud.
you already said
We
it.
don't know who Ultraman is,
Hmm.
right? Isn't he on the set with the mask covering his
Yeah,
face?
I didn't want to say it because I didn't know if you saw that set photo. I
I
almost looked a couple weeks
unfortunately
ago
I wish I
when
did not
I
because
know.
I hate spoilers.
Correct.
But like we're doing a show and there's spoilers. If if you don't want spoilers, you get the F out. But if you want spoilers, you stay the F in.
Have that up top.
That'll be the
Um,
new.
I don't know. I don't know what I want from the new Superman movie. He's saying that the only thing that the main thing that I got, the only good question I think that Josh Harwood's had was, what is this? How is this different than every other Superman incarnation we've seen in anything? And then he sat with it, couldn't really answer, and then he answered. He said, "This is much more Silver Age,"
Yeah.
which is
That's
what
actually what I want to hear.
that's what I want to hear. But I don't know. I
If you can
mean,
do it. If you can do it.
when we get into reviews later, I'll tell you my problems with Creature Command. So it's a I don't know. Anyway, I want to say I'll save that. I'll save that. But and then the only other thing that was in there was that the question he did not answer, and he acted like his audio went out, was that they were talking about Dave Bautista. They said, have people been cast from the Guardians cast in now that we don't know about? He said yes. And then he also said he signed something last week he can't talk anything about. Okay. He didn't answer the Kumail answer because it was Kumail Nanjiani, Brewster Gold. He didn't
Right.
answer that. He went around it. But then when they talked about Dave Bautista, they said, well, Dave Bautista wanted to be Bane previously, but now he's not interested in that. I think he said I don't think he wants to do that anymore. And then there's rumored for Deathstroke, which I never heard before.
I never
And
heard that.
then he didn't. James Gunn did not answer that.
Dave Bautista, I think, has gone on record saying he doesn't want to do the makeup thing anymore. And I think he's not as hardcore about looking huge anymore. Like he really does want to double down on the
I think he
acting. He's
lost
still,
weight. Yeah, I think he conditioned lost weight for something.
yeah, the dude's always going to be in shape, but
Mm.
he's not going to be Bane big anymore,
Yeah, that's fine.
I mean, but
That's
you
fine.
could fake that too. I mean, what's funny? It's hard to take Bane seriously anymore. They the Harley Quinn character of Bane just keeps going through
Right, right,
all
right,
media,
right,
like and Clayface too to a point.
right.
But I don't know. And Deathstroke, I mean, that's a good choice. I really like Joe Mangione's portrayal of him.
Mangione. Yeah, I don't know. He never got a chance. And what was that video where he's coming out of like a helicopter back? There's like a whole video that like maybe was part of a Ben Affleck solo
Yeah.
Batman movie. What was
What was
that?
that?
Don't know. It's not in Justice League. It's on the Snyder cut.
No,
Don't know what it
it
is.
doesn't quite look like a fan, although fan videos are incredible now.
Yeah, no, it was a video from I don't know if Snyder had it or it was on. I thought it was on a Ben Affleck something. I feel like he put it out.
I
I feel
feel
like Ben
like
Affleck put it out.
I think that was a really big loss. Like not getting that Ben Affleck Batman movie. People say that script was incredible. And like certain
Yeah,
parts of it were taken for the Matt Reeves movie, but like
we need to get we need to get some leaked scripts, man. We need to get some leaked things here. This is no good, you
leaked
know.
script, leaked movies.
We love,
Where the hell's
yeah,
Batgirl? I can't believe that hasn't showed up yet.
yeah. I don't know. I mean, yeah, we need to do a whole new deep dive on on that. But I feel like this basically to close out the James Gunn stuff is I feel like he answers too many things. I feel like that the fun of it is the speculation of things. And the fact that he can answer everyone, he does answer everyone. It's like,
I
just let
do
it.
feel like he will not disappoint us with Superman. It's got the stuff in it that I've always wanted to see in a Superman movie. I love I mostly love every Superman movie, but
Here's
like
a weird
I
question.
really love Silver Age Superman.
What are the cars situation? So Fantastic Four sets, have you seen Fantastic Four set leaks?
I I think I've seen a couple.
They basically are using like these like 40s cars. They're using like a retro futuristic cars. They're using but they're doing
Are they
uh
doing a world where Reed Richards comes about in the '60s and actually brings forth not utopian ideas, but if we had a Reed Richards,
right, like almost like
that's
Howard
better
Stark, the
than
Howard
having
Stark like
yeah,
World's Fair type of stuff. I think
yeah.
that's what they're doing there.
Did he,
But I don't know what they're doing in
it's
Superman.
like
Superman's
if we had
modern.
a good Elon Musk. No, I'm just kidding. He doesn't create anything.
Right.
He just buys in at the right time, which is a skill in itself.
Mhm.
But yeah, well, what if we got that? What if you got cheap energy, near free energy, cars that don't break down, cars that hover?
Well, this is Joe
I didn't
Casey. Joe
see
Casey. Do batteries.
do Joe
Wildcat
Casey
season three
Wildcats
is
run?
is
Yeah.
all uh is all batteries because that's what
Speaking,
that company became a battery company in V3
yeah,
Volume
because it
3
was free,
3.0.
unlimited energy, and that changes the whole world.
Mhm.
Speaking of Joe Casey, he's got a Substack. I haven't joined it yet, but it's free,
Mhm.
where he's basically going through every comic he's ever written and giving you like his background on that whole comic,
Oh,
what he was thinking, what he was doing. I'm like, that's awesome. I think that's really cool, and I'll be excited to read that because I'd love to see his thoughts about his Cable run, his Wildcats run, his Youngblood run.
yeah, it's funny when just like kind of picking up out there in the world and picking up old wizards and stuff. Their interviews are just so thin. I did grab one as Alan Moore interview that I'm going to have you read.
Nice.
Got it right over there.
I think that'll read really good, Mark.
I told the guys at the comic book store in Glass Sparrow that I told Alex that we're going to do. I'm
All
going
right,
to
all right.
film you in
Let's
the
not talk about
dark
it. Let's not
with a
talk about it
wig.
yet.
So okay, so should
Someone
clarify what
might.
that is.
I think somebody might steal our ideas, Mark.
We need to get that in there. No one's doing nothing. No one's
No,
doing anything. So
you'd be
that's
surprised.
that's the good stuff with what we're the momentum of what we're trying to create. Just kind of just keep doing, just keep going. As tired as this week was, as hard as, I don't know how you're awake. So I get it. So
And I got to keep moving. And we're gonna like we have plans tonight.
yeah, 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 yeah,
We gotta do Christmas in the day.
yeah, yeah. That's right.
So
That's right.
I think that wraps up the James Gunn. I am excited about the Superman movie. Let's
I'm
hope it
cautiously
fills.
optimistic. I think somehow I became this like critic in our show where I'm like I'm pessimistic about everything, right? Which is not where the part of the show is not great.
Yeah,
I'm nervous about it.
you'll be fine. You just got to be slapped around a little bit. So
Yeah,
just a
that's
couple
fine.
other just little, not really news, but little news. I think Todd McFarlane wants to take over writing on Spawn again. So
Barely
okay,
news.
it's barely news, but it's like he honestly never kind of stops writing. He's infamous
Right.
for rewriting people's stuff.
Right,
Like
right, right,
Eric
sure.
Larson, when he was writing and drawing Spawn, it was a really enjoyable run. He's like McFarlane's changing the dialogue around. He adds dialogue. He kind of makes it worse, Larson said. And then he rewrote Dragon. He's like, maybe I should write my character in this fill-in issue. Like he had a crossover issue.
Mhm.
He's like, well, maybe I should, I kind of know what my character would say, not Todd McFarlane.
Didn't wasn't I don't know, he may or may not. I may be thinking of Batman Hellboy Starman. Batman Hellboy Starman, I believe that like Mignola scripted, or I think Mignola scripted Hellboy in Dragon, right? Or that was
Yes,
something that
yeah,
it said something, or at
a
least a
smart,
pass. Here you go.
yeah, a
You
smart
know,
writer, if they're using a character like that, will go, hey, take a pass. Paul Cornell asked Gaiman to take a pass on Death when she showed up
mm,
in Action Comics Superman.
right,
Brian Bendis asked Warren Ellis to take a pass when Warren Ellis, the writer, shows up in an issue of Powers.
right, right, right.
So
Cancel,
kind of,
cancel.
he's not real canceled.
He's not right
He's
enough. He's not doing it.
I think he's still in media somewhere. I am on his newsletter,
Yeah, I wonder if he
which
should just change his name. He could be the writer X, who was what, Howard Mackey.
that's the rumor.
Yeah,
No, and even the girls who outed him were like, yeah, he didn't do anything. He just kind of stopped talking to us after getting kind of personal with us. I think that was it. Maybe he asked a couple questions that maybe like a 40-year-old or 50-year-old shouldn't ask a 20-year-old. But I don't.
yeah,
I think that was the level of canceled. That was the point where he's just an old man doing old man things. Should you be careful with that? Absolutely.
mm,
But sometimes when you talk to people, you get lured into a false sense of security, you know, and then later on, people rethink how the conversation goes. So I'm not saying he's innocent, but I'm not saying he didn't do anything illegal. He wasn't like
right.
what's
Yeah,
the name?
there's nothing there's nothing, there's no conviction or anything. There's no lawsuit,
No, no, and
pending.
the girls even said like, yeah, he didn't do anything wrong. He just kind of stopped talking to us at one point, and that's what made him angry.
Right,
So if you're going to be a creep, don't ghost people.
right, right.
And
That's
again,
a
we're not saying he's a creep. We don't know. We
Let's
weren't
put that
there.
up on. I'm going to put that up top here. Don't be a creep. Don't ghost people.
You know
Rob
what? I'm just
message.
going to keep. I'm just going to listen, man.
Oh,
We don't know anything. We weren't there.
that's right.
So, other little bit of non news. See, Frank Miller's doing the Maker cover. The ultimate Reed Richards.
That's the best one. That's the best one to me. That's So I think Bleeding Cool had all of them in a row because I know Rob Liefeld talked about it. He talked about
Yeah, he had a very
how
pro
they're
Frank
important.
Miller, and he makes points. Like, would you rather see new Frank Miller than no Frank Miller? Like, of course, do we want to see Dark Knight Frank Miller? We do. We do miss the Frank Miller of the 80s and the
Mhm.
90s and the late 70s. We love that stuff. But if this is what he wants to do, we're not going to begrudge him that.
Right, right,
This is
right.
what he sees. This is his doing,
But
his weird indie underground, you know,
yeah,
weirdness.
there's still a dynamic. What's funny is that like I always hated the I respected it, but I always hated like didn't he do like a complete Spider-Man hardcover thing, and it was like Spider-Man. It was all like it was in like a Sin City style pre-Sin City. And he's up
Right.
on like his toes, and it's like he's
Yeah,
all
it's
like
a little,
this.
it's bulky up top and
Yeah, it's weird
small down
looking,
the
but you're
bottom.
like, all right, I guess so. Or even if you look at the cover of like, Wolverine the trade, I'm like, well, this isn't what it looks like inside, and Jeff Darrow, I believe, is rumored to have inked that. I don't know if that's official or not. I
But
think
that really,
that makes sense after
that
you
makes a
hear that.
lot of sense.
And I want to say that you said that Nick has that. You said Nick Barucci has that.
Yeah, Nick
That
Barucci has that.
for reals. For
For
realsies.
reals. We should,
I'll have to go ask him and see if I can see it. Can I
dude.
see
Does
your
does he
Wolverine
have?
drawing?
Here's a question. Does he have an art? Does Nick Barucci, who's a friend of the show, we'll say,
Hmm.
owner of Dynamite Comics and Dynamic Forces, has an incredible art collection. Now, does he have like a panic room? Is it displayed through his house? Is it just
I
in
don't know.
boxes? Like, at what point do you have too much art to display it all?
Right. Yeah, I mean, I
Are
have
you?
posters that are, not worth anything, but I have posters that I have kind of in areas that I'm how am I going to display that, or maybe I'll rotate that. I have some 24 by 36s that I want to swap, maybe, but I really like my Transformers one downstairs, so I'm like, well, I like that in the foyer. So I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it is hard to even in my house, which is relatively large in wall size per se. I don't know.
Now he doesn't hide that he has an incredible art collection. I think he goes on
No,
podcasts and talks
yeah,
about it.
he sells stuff on Friday nights. A lot of times, live stream through Dynamic Forces or
But wouldn't
Dynamite on live stream.
I don't know. I think I would just if I had something that valuable, would I talk about it? Would I let people know? Is he not afraid of like people stealing it, breaking in? Like, is he a target?
I don't know.
I think Liefeld made a small joke to Terry Austin because Terry Austin owns all his Uncanny John Byrne artwork, and he got uncomfortable. McFarlane made a Mission Impossible style joke of dropping in on the wires, and he looked uncomfortable. And I'm like, oh, he's really thinking about this. Like
Right.
that's like he's got millions of dollars
He's
of
probably
art.
not thinking about it, and then these guys are like, "Do you know how valuable that shit is?" Like that. They're like, "Do you understand the significance of this?" I mean, I know that what's his name? There was an interview recently that Simonson just moved, and they were asking the guy was asking me, he's like, where is that stuff moving? If you notoriously didn't really sell your art, he's only given some of his art away for charity auctions. Great.
Mhm.
But hasn't sold his art. He sold some stuff to private collectors. Fine. But for the most part, has everything he's ever drawn.
Do you see what he's working on right now?
No.
Everyone, all six of you who listen to this, go on his Twitter, I think, or Facebook page. He's doing an epic, huge original piece for someone that's like it's I think it's like 9 pieces of original artboard, just a big
Mm,
panorama. Thor, Ragnarok, Surtur, like it's just an
jeez.
incredible Simonson.
And
Here's
the
everything
cask
about
of the
Thor,
ancient winters. It's
dude.
my favorite.
It looks great. You gotta see it. In fact,
Oh, I'll
post
drop
it,
it in.
drop it in.
I'll put it right there.
Look at that, guys. Look how awesome that is. Look at the detail on that. Yeah, if you don't drop it in, I'm gonna look like a jerk.
I will drop it. That's the point
And
of us
Surtur,
having us this small. The smaller, the better
and
for us.
and who voiced Surtur in Ragnarok?
Oh, I don't know. I don't
You
remember.
you forgot his name last week. We both did. Clancy Brown.
I almost said that. Yeah, I almost said
Yeah,
that. That's funny. That's funny. Yeah,
Clancy Brown. Surtur. And it's funny
Surtur.
in
He
in the
was.
'90s, Wizard Magazine brought up that he would have been a good Sabretooth, and I became obsessed with that for like 10 years. It's
Yeah, it
like,
was
oh,
Rutger
Clancy.
Hauer. Well, Rutger Hauer's Magneto, right?
Yeah,
That was
Rucker
kind of
Hauer's
the pick,
Magneto.
right?
When I rewatched um, Blade Runner before Blade Runner 2049 came out, when I was looking at Rucker Hauer, I'm like, yeah, Magneto's cool, but damn, he doesn't look like a Cable. Like too
Right.
old by the
Right.
time Cable became out. But like Blade Runner, Rucker Hauer,
Brian Dennehy's Cable for me, baby. Brian Dennehy, just because of that one part in Cocoon where he pulls his eye down and it splashes. That's all.
yeah,
But
yeah,
but Brian Dennehy's stocky. I mean, like to me, that was my Cable, my Cable. Maybe not. That's probably like the Liefeld X Force Cable, big wide.
you know,
Uh,
you know who was almost
JR
Cable?
Cable.
Who was almost Cable?
Kyle Chandler, was that rumored for that for a while?
I
Is
didn't
that
hear that, but I,
no?
I I know from inside sources, it was David Harbour.
Hmm.
David Harbour almost got it. And this is pre Hellboy, and I guess obviously pre Red Guardian and way pre Frankenstein.
Right.
But yeah, David
Hmm.
Harbour, good Cable. If you think about it, big dude. He's a tall guy. Brolin's 5'11". He's only an inch taller than us, 2 inches
Right.
taller than us. But like, which is funny because they keep calling him short throughout the movie. Like, oh, you're so short. And
Right.
Deadpool. Speaking of which, you know what I watched recently? It's a Deadpool Christmas or a very Deadpool Christmas or whatever that holiday version PG of Deadpool 2.
Is that Deadpool 2? Is that with Fred Savage?
That
Is that
that's the
through
Fred Savage. Yeah.
the
And it was
Princess
funny
Bride
because
rereading? Basically,
yeah,
he's rereading Deadpool 2, basically.
yeah. It's
Hmm.
funny because they're in it a lot and they're really funny scenes. And my daughter comes through and she's watching it and she's like, wait a minute. She's like, it's like Princess Bride. I'm like, yes, it is. But like, I don't think that's available for streaming, and I think that's a poor move. Like Disney should have that. And I didn't check this week. You know, I,
Yeah, I
I,
don't think so.
but like, wouldn't you have the Deadpool Christmas up December?
You would think, yeah, but I don't
It's
know.
it's a fun version. Just to see them cut out all the stuff to make it a PG movie.
Yeah, I just wanted to check that real fast. Well, this is boring. So yeah, we should just close it out. Let's close it out. Closing out the news. So
Nope,
stay
nope.
tuned.
One
No.
more
All
thing.
right, one more thing. All
One
right, I'll
more
look this
thing.
up. All right, I want to look this up.
Diamond closed their Plattsburgh distributing warehouse. Diamond previews, and it's causing a lot of issues. Like I think right now they have one distribution warehouse in is it Mississippi?
Yeah, it's Mississippi. I remember Memphis, something like that.
Now
Midwest.
Mississippi, the crazy thing, like Plattsburgh always they had a lot of problems with snow up there. That was always their issue during the winter. But Mississippi has now moved into Tornado Alley. So like one or the other, because of climate change, Tornado Alley typically more western is starting to move a little bit east. But anyway, so the problem is I don't think there's been a new previews yet for the month. Like it's a couple weeks in, and people are like, "Where's previews?" Like they're just having it's not growing pains. I guess it's shrinking pains. I guess it's growing pains for the Mississippi complex, but like shrinking pains because Diamond is less important than it's ever been since the late '80s, since the demise of I guess Capital and Heroes World and
Well, Friday I was in Glassboro, yeah, and they got their Wednesday shipment
on Friday.
Friday,
That hurts.
and yeah,
That
so
hurts. That hurts your business big time because people show up Wednesday because people plan their weeks around getting their comics, and there are still the Wednesday Warriors, and they show up and it's like, oh, I got to come back Friday. Some people are so insane that I bet you they went to other stores to try to get their stuff.
yeah, I mean, that would happen even with regulars. They had that. It's a fever. It's a fever. It's like
And it is. I know.
yeah. The one thing that and the problem is that people are coming in and they're processing and you can't just they're not sure what they have for shelf. So a couple of times people were like, "Hey, you have that?" He's like, "I don't. I have to do my pulls first. They're prioritizing their pull customers first, and
Right,
that's what
right.
you
No,
should do."
absolutely.
And then he doesn't know how many he's going to have for shelf. So he's just said, yeah, well, if you want to come back, he's like, all right, I'll come back after lunch. You know what I mean? So he had to kind of turn away, Tim had to turn away a few people, but what are you going to do? I mean, you have to process shipment because it gets too blurry. I
Yeah,
remember, they have
yeah.
their
We do.
pull, they have their pulls by numbers, so,
That's why
Alex was there
that's why you
shouting out the
pseudo
numbers.
that's why you pseudo hired me. Because not only did I help you deliver the boxes to the store, but I'm just like, hey, I'll help you count them. I'll help you do the pulls, and we
Yeah, and
get
then you can or you can slide stuff over to the side so you have your condition when condition was more of a situation. Well, it also really worked because you worked at UPS, and you're like, I'll just bring it in the
yeah.
morning.
At that point, I was on the morning shift, so the morning shift would
Right.
end. I'd be like, here's Legend stuff. I'll just bring it to them.
Yeah, that
That was
was
a
a
good deal.
bonus.
And then I
Yeah.
get there before the mall even opened.
Yeah,
Our
yeah,
store
yeah.
was in a mall, and
Yeah.
yeah, I'd go through and get decent condition. I wasn't going crazy because to me, comics, as much as I enjoy the collecting aspect of it, it was always about the story first.
Yeah. Yeah.
Art, writing, all that. We had other people who would like go, we'll just say it was our friend Brian, and he would go over each comic. Like if he could bring a magnifying glass in, he would have.
Mhm.
But you
Right.
know what? That paid off for him because when he got a couple comics graded, like his Walking Dead one, a 9.9. How rare a Walking Dead
A
9.9 is?
9.9. I've never
This is
heard of a 9.9. Usually they just kind of, if it's really close, they're just like, it's not a 10, 9.8. I feel like 9.8 is the best that you can
the
ever
best
have. I've never
typically.
heard of a 9.9. I don't think I've ever heard that.
Yeah,
So that's pretty
9.9, and
cool. That's our boy.
the tens are even rarer. And he got a 9.8 on his Invincible one, Invincible number one.
Hmm.
So, that it paid off being anal,
Yeah.
being that so and it would be funny. I guess I had a little more luck than him. He'd always get pissed because I would just randomly pick a comic, and just by chance that one would always be in better shape than his. He'd be like, "What the heck?" Like I would just randomly grab one. It was just like I don't know. He's got a little rain cloud over him sometimes.
Right. Right. Self-imposed. So
It's true. You know
sometimes.
what? You stay positive, better things happen to you.
Yeah. We try to. We do our
We
best.
try. We try to stay positive. Not negative mark lately.
Yeah.
That's a bad mark.
Bad mark. Mark down.
So it's a mark down.
It's a mark down.
All right. So that's it for really. I think all the news. Oh, there's a rumor. I guess Liefeld had asked Ryan Reynolds to write Deadpool with him at some point, and he didn't have the time. But like now now there's news articles like, oh, but Ryan Reynolds might write Deadpool now. Liefeld said it, and I don't know if Liefeld directly said that or not. They're just making an article out of
It's a
nothing.
clickbait. Yeah, it's probably a clickbait. I mean, that's the problem is that, I told you earlier when I saw this thing about inside. So you could look at the sites, if it's like beyond the magic, I want to say, or inside the magic or inside whatever. There's a couple of them that are just notoriously not a thing. There was one that this week it said like Jenna Ortega walks off Wednesday set, and you open up and you read the article, and it just talks about how they wrapped production.
And it went, she walked off the set when they were done. She walked off the
That's it.
set
And then
because
there's
she
one,
had to
and
use
then
the
a bunch of
bathroom.
comments down, like it was like, so was she mad? Like it doesn't. But again,
Yeah.
technically, that's not a that article. That's what you would think, and that's why even when James Gunn was doing in his interview, is like, oh man, everything he just had to like he paused a lot. He's like, anything I say is going to be an article on like Screen Rant,
It is true.
BuzzFeed. It's just
Rob,
going to be a ton of stuff.
Rob and Mark stopped the podcast. Dot dot dot. And then you check it. It's like because they wanted to do another one.
Right,
Like,
right.
yeah,
Yeah,
that's the thing.
exactly.
We're not clickbait here, but we don't mind talking about clickbait articles. You know,
Right, sure. Yeah,
just to
we
see
try to suss through it. It's a business. I understand. It's a click. That's literally what it is.
business. Are you
They're
saying
making
people
money.
make? They do. People make
They
money at
make money
this.
doing this. Wow, I don't know. Supposedly, we will one day. Your wife yells at me, and when I take up too much of your time, and she's in the background. It's like, when you making money off of this thing, get off of
Yeah,
there.
that's right.
He's got to go. He's got to go eat dinner. And it's like, oh, it's 6 o'clock. I don't
Six
know. I ain't doing
already.
nothing. Six
That's right.
o'clock. So yeah, let's wrap it up and stay tuned. Next episode, reviews day. Pretty big reviews day. Pretty big one.
Yeah, more
So
reviews than news. Actually, if we can make this much of a podcast out of the little bit of news of the week, I worry
yeah,
when we have a heavy reviews week.
yeah, it's gonna be a bad reviews one. And I have a lot for
Bad meaning
deep dive
good
stuff.
people,
Bad meaning good. Stay tuned. Hope you enjoy all the drags and drops.
and hopefully you all listen to Mark's long intro telling you where you can find us. Awestruck
Correct.
Comics, we're everywhere.
Everywhere. All right, I'm shutting it.
Don't have to tell people.
I'm gonna turn it off now.